Hey guys， 大家好，欢迎来到我们的频道。今天我想跟你们分享我在我以前的一些 YouTube 影片中后悔说过的话，还有我改变看法的内容。最近我一直在看以前的影片，检查内容，想确定我对我以前分享的内容还满意。这个时候，我发现我不再同意一些观念，有些我现在也不认为是正确的了。今天我会重放这些内容给你们，也跟你们分享我的新看法。那我们开始吧。Okay, let's start with this video.
请问你平常有没有做有氧的习惯？
有。
可以请问是哪一些吗？
脚踏车，然后还有滑步机。
在飞轮或者是跑步。
飞轮或跑步。
是那个雪橇。
雪橇。那可以问你做有氧的用意是什么吗？
减脂。
减脂，好。
为了减脂。
为了减脂，好。
减脂。
减脂 ，OK。那如果跟你说这样子的减脂方式并不很正确的话，你会说什么呢
Why?
OK， 谢谢。
接受你们的教导，就是如果不正确的话
OK。
对。
Okay, so there was nothing wrong with what these guys were doing at the time. There is no problem with choosing biking, jogging, or any other kind of low-intensity steady-state cardio to lose fat. I think the whole point that we were trying to make in this video is that HIIT is much better than LISS for losing fat and retaining muscle mass. However, I now feel that that is not how we should have stated it. I mean, I still think that HIIT is better than LISS for retaining muscle mass. That was even shown in this meta-analysis that was done recently on the topic. However, there are a lot of gray areas that I should have addressed at the time of making this video.
有氧运动对于燃脂是非常有效的，这点大家都同意。许多研究指出，有氧运动比重量训练更能有效的燃脂，因为有氧运动主要是用脂肪来当作能量的来源，而重量训练则是用碳水化合物当作能量来源。
Not because an activity uses fat as fuel means we are going to end up losing fat. The same way, not because an activity uses carbohydrates as fuel, we're not going to be able to lose fat. We lose fat when we burn more calories than what we consume. And cardio definitely burns more calories than weights, which means it's an incredible tool to use to help us reach a calorie deficit. But it's not because it utilizes fat as fuel. I think we definitely had a lack of understanding back then on what causes fat loss.
运动研究专家 Jeffrey King 同意高强度间歇运动比强度中等的有氧运动来得好，因为增加脂肪的新陈代谢以及训练后耗氧的运作。
Okay, so the idea that HIIT is much better than LISS because of EPOC is definitely something I disagree with nowadays. EPOC refers to the amount of oxygen required to get our bodies back to normal after a workout, to restore our body back to homeostasis. Now, to do so, our body requires energy, which is why it keeps burning calories to fuel this process. So while it's true that HIIT EPOC is much higher than LISS EPOC, the difference in practice is not very meaningful. In conclusion, HIIT and LISS both have pros and cons. For instance, HIIT burns more calories per minute, which is cool, but because it's such high intensity, people are not able to keep up with it for very long to make a difference on their daily energy expenditure. HIIT can also affect your weight training performance more so than LISS. In this scenario, you may be better off with LISS, or you may have to do HIIT less often or on separate days so it doesn't interfere with your weight training sessions. Now, on the other hand, low intensity steady state cardio burns less calories per minute, which means we're gonna have to spend more time doing it than if we were doing HIIT training. But in my experience, it seems easier to stick to and it's definitely less painful. This will also be easier to recover from, of course, if you're not running marathons every other day. Another thing that I failed to mention here when I made the video is that for certain people, HIIT will not be a viable option. For example, obese people or people with injuries. The takeaway here is that the best form of cardio is the one that you can actually stick to, the one that allows you to make progress over time. That might be HIIT or LISS or a combination of both. It's not so black and white how I made it to be in the video. I definitely was biased and I should have looked at the research with an open mind instead of trying to impose my opinion. And that's definitely not something I should do. So I was wrong and I regret for doing that. Okay, let's continue with this 3-year-old video, which is the first content I share with you guys on YouTube. So the first thing that you have to know is that if you want to have that muscular, shredded physique, you must be in a hypocaloric state. Oh man, why do I speak so slowly and look so angry all the time? Look like I hate being a YouTuber and this is the first video I ever made. Alright guys, so what you gotta do now to burn fat successfully is that you want to get the right ratio of these macronutrients in your diet. So contrary to what I mentioned in the video, you don't need a perfect ratio of macronutrients to help you lose fat successfully. The 40% protein, 40% carbs, and 20% fat, or any other predetermined ratio of macronutrients. Currently, in terms of nutrition, I believe that as long as you are in a caloric deficit and consuming at least 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, you will be able to lose fat successfully and maintain or even build muscle mass. The ratio of carbs or fats you end up consuming to fill in the rest of the calories should be optional. I am a big believer now that personal preferences play a massive role in the long-term success of a fat loss program. Therefore, if you prefer to eat more carbs over fat or the other way around, that will not affect your fat loss results. According to the position stand of the ISSN, a wide range of dietary approaches, low fat to low carbohydrate, ketogenic, and all points in between, can be effective for improving body composition, and this allows flexibility with program design. Okay, let's move on to this other video. Mistake number 3. Not eating enough fat or cutting fat completely out of your diet. Fats are so important for us guys. First, they help you feel fuller for longer. Okay, so I mentioned that eating healthy fats will help you feel fuller for longer. I don't think I should have stated that like a complete fact, especially when there isn't sufficient evidence to support that. Protein, on the other hand, does have more research to back up its appetite suppressing qualities. Protein can indeed help suppress hunger, which is great especially when we are eating in a caloric deficit trying to lose fat. Number 3, fats burn fat. People that eat enough healthy fats are able to boost their metabolism. Contrary to what I said in the video, fats will not increase your metabolism. In fact, fats have the lowest thermic effect of foods out of all the 3 macronutrients. Thermic effect of food refers to the increase in metabolism after the consumption of a meal. Basically, the amount of calories our body utilizes to process, digest, and store foods. So when consumed, fats compared to carbohydrates and especially protein have the lowest increase in metabolism. In very simple words, our body expends less calories when dealing with fat than when dealing with carbohydrates or protein. Now, healthy fats in general, especially omega-3, EPA, DHA from fish, which most people don't get enough of, certainly have many other very important health benefits, and we should strive to increase our daily intake. But I would not expect them to turn us in these calorie burning machines.
坚果像是胡桃、杏仁、开心果、松子、夏威夷豆、腰果等等，除了有抗心血管疾病以及抗糖尿病之外，
In this video, we mentioned how nuts are great for the heart, diabetes, and for health in general because of the amount of healthy fats they provide, and I think that's perfectly fine.
这篇文章解释到坚果含有丰富的精氨酸，这是一个很重要的氨基酸，被运用在蛋白质和肌酸合成中，也会刺激生长激素的分泌，这是增肌很重要的一个元素。
This is the part I shouldn't have included in the video because arginine is not an essential amino acid, which means isn't necessary to be obtained from the diet. Essential amino acids, on the other hand, must be obtained from the foods we consume. These 9 essential amino acids, especially leucine, are the main players in muscle protein synthesis, which means we need them for muscle growth. Saying that we should consume nuts because of its arginine content, it's a poor and incorrect argument. Typically, the best muscle building foods are the ones high in protein, containing all 9 essential amino acids, such as meat, dairy, and eggs. Sources like fats, such as nuts, or carbohydrates, like sweet potatoes, which is another item I mentioned in this list of muscle building foods, are not muscle building foods per se because they lack sufficient protein. However, indirectly, yes, I guess they are good muscle building foods because they provide with calories, and that is energy that we utilize to fuel our workouts. But there are many other food items that you can opt for that can give you the energy you require. Hey guys, 大家好. Today I'm gonna share with you 5 different exercises that you should never ever do at the gym, mainly because of how dangerous they are and how likely they are to get your shoulders injured. With this video, I feel like I did make some good points. However, my mistake was not to remain open to the possibility that there may be people that feel perfectly fine performing the exercises that I suggested not to do. For instance, one of these exercises I mentioned was the upright row because it can lead to shoulder impingement. Although there are people who feel completely fine doing it, very comfortable, feel no pain at all, and find it a great shoulder builder. If that is the case for you, I now don't think why you should get it out of your routine. In a private conversation that I had with James, a physiotherapist that I featured in my previous video, he mentioned, and I quote, "If it's not painful, the exercise itself is not wrong." Now, I tend to agree with that opinion. Any exercise can be a good exercise if you feel it where you want to feel it and it doesn't cause pain. So the issue that I see with myself here is that I have this black and white mentality. I'm being too dogmatic with my thinking, which isn't optimal if I'm trying to become a better coach, a better fitness professional. This is it for today, guys. There are certainly other videos that I didn't get to critique much this time, but if you have been following the channel for a while, you have probably realized that I have changed my opinion multiple times. I guess the point that I'm trying to make today is to remind myself that to become better, I have to be willing to learn, that I have to accept that at times I can be wrong, and also that the use of science needs to be applied in a truthful and biased way, not only in a way that suits my opinion. I know that in the future I will keep making mistakes, I will keep changing my mind on other things, and I feel like that's part of the process. But you can be sure that when that happens, I will let you guys know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your support. Consider subscribing to the channel. 给我一个赞 and see you next time. 谢谢，拜拜。
Yeah, I'm all in. Brody on the line, I'm tapping in. God out here pulling the strings for me. A girl on the line, she feeling me. Preoccupied by the motivation. Put in the time, pay the entry fee. Bro on the rise, yeah, he kinda nice. Inside of my mind, no one's real as me. Lately, life has been gorgeous. Wake up to clear, my eyes hit recorded. Praise up to God, I ain't chasing no bitch. Swinging and miss, got me hitting these licks. I get the orders, don't